What is going on, guys? Rebeltrainer bringing you a new video, draft league, all that sort of stuff. I know it's been a hot minute since we've done draft league. I know it's been a hot minute since I've uploaded any type of video like this. So let me just dive into this. We are back with the Renegades the Roots. We are coaching our favorite draft league team, this singles format, 6v6. All sorts of good stuff. Got a great opportunity by It's Danny Mech to join a part of his league and to just kind of show some strategies that we have, some things that we can enjoy and look forward to. In this, we did a snake draft where you go from 1 to the end of the coaches, and then the last coach starts the next round at number 1. And so we were number 6 overall on the draft tier list to start. And so with that, we had 115 points to choose the Pokemon that we wanted to draft. And so I'm going to kind of go through the Pokemon that we've drafted for our team. And if you guys want to, at the end of the video or at any point, you have like a nickname or something that you would love to see on one of these Pokemon, feel free to drop that down below. And if it doesn't appear in week 1, it's probably because by the time this goes up, I've already have done my battle with my opponent for week 1. But for week 2, we can definitely see about that. So round 1, we picked up Iron Valiant for our team, and I was really torn over various Pokemon that you could choose at number 1 overall, but a lot of good Pokemon were starting to fly off the board, and Iron Valiant was sitting at 19 points, and so it was a high tier pick for us. I really love the fighting fairy type that it gets, and obviously the ability Quark Drive is pretty versatile as well. But one of the things that I really loved about Iron Valiant is that you can run this choice Scarf, you can run this choice Banded, you can run this choice Specs, or any other combinations you want, the booster energy. So many different options, but it just hits like a truck, and so it's very versatile, very nice to run. It comes with some pretty cool utility stuff too, but again, just a really, really hard hitter. I definitely was looking at doing my Fairy Steel Dragon Core to start off. So with all that in mind, one of the next things that we picked in round 2 of our draft was Scizor, which is our bug steel type. So obviously he runs Swarm, which very few ever run that ability. But Technician obviously is going to hit very, very hard. Light Metal, unless there's a very unique circumstance for me, I'm not likely to run that at all. But love the Technician boosted steel fighting ability that it has, and so obviously it gets priority, it gets defog, it gets so many different setup things. Obviously at this point we are looking pretty weak on our fire typing, obviously with the 4 times weakness, but Scizor is just such a good mon, and gets U-turn, and there's just a lot of potential there. Choice Bandit obviously is probably one of the most common sets you see, but it has a lot of utilities for us, and I just love the versatility that we get with it. I love the ability that it has to eat some of the hits that we would normally not be able to hit with a fairy type, and just really does a solid work for us. Next up was our round 3 pick, and right now I'm going to tell you I drafted Salamence in this slot. I have a huge shout out to Metamech. If you guys don't know who he is, he no longer does YouTube, but Metamech helped me at a lot in just kind of bouncing ideas, bouncing off picks that were ahead of us. And so we really worked side by side in drafting and developing this team. And so we picked Salamence. Spoiler, we didn't keep Salamence. We actually swapped out Salamence for Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon is just a fast, hard-hitting monster. And obviously with the dark typing, that gives us a great immunity to psychic types, which our Iron Valiant greatly appreciates. And also with the dragon typing, it just helps us to finish out the core of our Fairy, Steel, and Dragon. Again, Roaring Moon, physical, hard hitter, fast. You can run Choice Bandit, you can run it Life Orb, you can run it with Dragon Dance, you can run it in so many different ways. And again, with the 3 that we've already picked in our draft, I just love the way that it all functions and works for us. Next up in our draft, we picked our good boy Arcanine. That's right, Balto is back on the team. For the rest of the draft, we are using or utilizing Pokemon that we've never utilized before on any of our draft teams. And what's unique about Arcanine is this will be my first time running it, I believe, in any sort of single format. We did run it with a VGC setup, and I did awesome with it, and I love it. Again, Arcanine is one of those Pokemon that with the Flash Fire gives us some immunity. If you want to run it Intimidate, obviously that is a great utility as well for us. Justified also in case we want to swap in on a Dark type move. A lot of versatility. Fast, hard hitting. You can run it special, you can run it physical, and just the leftovers, you can run it bulky. It just, again, it just does so much for this team, and obviously helps out Scizor a ton with the fire weakness that it runs. And again, Arcanine also great for the Intimidate in case we want to bring it in against a physical Fairy type, physical Steel type, or physical Dragon type as well. Next up on our pick, we drafted our good elephant boy, Donphan. Donphan is really cool. Obviously, gets Rapid Spin. It allows us to set up Stealth Rocks. It is a Pokemon you can run as Assault Vest. It's a Pokemon that you can just utilize in a lot of different ways. Obviously, it gets priority as well. Sturdy Sandvale, obviously, with this ability. Most likely running Sturdy because we can't boost our evasiveness in this league, which is pretty common if you just ask my opinion about that. But again, so Sturdy, so it cannot get one shot whatsoever. Obviously is there to help remove hazards and set up hazards, and also just to tank some hits. It is our Terra Captain, which in this league you can only Terra Pokemon that are 12 points or lower in draft picks. In the tiering. And so Donphan came in at number 10. So we gave it the Terra typing. You had to give it one stab, and you're able to give it two of any other typing that you would want. So we gave it the Steel and Grass typing. Some of it defensive, some of it offensive for us. Next up, we ended up keeping our drafting Tornadus at the end of the draft. And again, Tornadus is really good because it runs Prankster. If you really want to run Defiant against a team that maybe has some Intimidators, such as like an Incineroar Pokemon or something along that nature, it might be something that gets utilized a lot. But obviously with the Prankster, it allows us to set up Tailwinds with priority, helps us win Weather Wars if that is something that we are going to be facing week in, week out. And again, Tornadus is fast, and Tornadus is also a Pokemon that can hit specially. So we were drafting a lot of physical Pokemon to start, and now we are starting to round out our team with a more especially offensive type of Pokemon. Again, it gives us a ground immunity, which is also very helpful, especially for Pokemon like Arcanine, Scizor, or not Scizor, Roaring Moon, and Iron Valiant, who will just take kind of some neutral hitting there. Speaking of which, we then drafted our Rotom-Mow, which obviously the only ability it gets is to levitate. But with that grass electric typing, obviously we were looking to kind of round out our fire, water, grass core, which we were able to take the next step in that. Rotom, obviously, with the Volt switching ability, again, fast, special, but also really bulky, surprisingly. You wouldn't think that that little lawnmower is going to eat a whole lot, but it does, and it does an awesome job at that. Next up, we drafted Barraskewda. Again, at the end of the draft, we had a lot of different picks available to us, but we ended up dropping some of them and then kind of utilizing them going forward. Barraskewda is it is a glass cannon. It is what it is. But it gets Swift Swim, which again, you can kind of utilize and team up with Tornadus with a Prankster Rain Dance. It gets Propeller Tail, which is basically Mold Breaker. And just a lot of cool coverage that it gets. But it is also our other Terra Captain. So at 8 points, it was just a great Pokemon for us to utilize and see it get even more scary offensively beyond the water typing that it would normally just be able to tear into. So we gave it the grass and the Fairy typing as well for that. But again, Swift Swim, fast, hard, physical hitting Barraskewda is just going to be a monster, I feel, in this draft. Next up, we were looking to kind of just address some of our ground weaknesses that were originally in our team. And so we added on to our draft at number 9, Uxie. Uxie does, again, get the Levitate ability, is a Psychic type. Psychic spam is just so free in a lot of different ways. And so, but it also gets Stealth Rocks. It also gets the ability to set up screens. It eats hits. It does a whole lot of things for us. And so it also U-turn. So Uxie is just going to be a great Pokemon that helps us to just kind of round out our team and help us to continue to eat hits. And then for the last Pokemon that we drafted Avalugg Hisui. Hisui Avalugg is surprisingly disgustingly strong offensively and is also disgustingly bulky with a great defensive defense stat. Anyways, so with the the ice rock typing is really actually a pretty good defensive typing overall. Obviously, you don't want to be in against a steel or a fighting type, but again, it gives us another rocker. It gives us a Pokemon that can do some things that are pretty cool. It gets a strong jaw ability, which again just boosts the physicalness to it. Ice Body, if there was a not it's not hail anymore, but it's a snow team, so we can kind of get that back. Or sturdy, obviously, that nobody can one shot it, which very few people are going to one shot Avalugg from a physical standpoint, but it is very possible from a special defensive point. But yeah, so that's the whole team that we drafted for the UNPL. Again, thank you, Danny Mac, for the ability and opportunity to run through this league. I've had a lot of fun just interacting with the coaches, interacting with those during the draft. Really solid guy, really solid draft team community that he is putting together. And so we are going to hopefully put in a ton of work, get to playoffs, maybe even get towards a championship opportunity. But if not, at the end of the day, we're just going to have a lot of fun. I love Draft League. I love battling Pokemon. I love getting to meet new people. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't hit the like button, subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.